What's going on, socialites? Ryan here, Global Pokemon Society, bringing you the second episode in our Monotype team discussions for Scarlet and Violet. Today we'll be going over Electric, Bug, and Flying teams. Definitely some interesting teams. For sure, a lot of new Pokemon in these types that we'll go over. Starting with Electric, though, the first Pokemon we got here is Rotom. Going with Rotom Wash here, but really you could go Rotom Mow. You could do Rotom Heat. Even Rotom Frost. I can see. I don't think you'd want Rotom Fan. There's better Electric Flying Pokemon, which we'll go over in the reserves. But Rotom Wash lets you hit ground types, of course. More reliably, or more spammable, I should say, than Rotom Mow, because the Hydro Pump isn't going to reduce your special attack. Leaf Storm can get off that big hit quickly and more effectively, but yeah, that's why I like Rotom Wash. Going on to Magnezone here, with the Magnet Pole, allows you to trap Steel types. Going with the Iron Defense Body Press set as well. So this is kind of also like your bulky pivot. You could... I went with Substitute and Protect. That way you can scout out ground moves. You could, instead of Protect, maybe go with Magnet Rise. You could do Air Balloon instead of the Leftovers. But I also want it to be able to be a bulky check for us. And again, being able to scout out ground moves would be good. Pincurchin. So no Tapu Koko right now. So if you want to use electric terrain, you got to go with the Pincurchin. Set up spikes, Thunderwave Memento. That's basically all it's there for. Terrain Extender, so you get 7 turns of the terrain. So if you spike with him and then die the next turn or that turn, you'll get, 5 turns with the electric terrain, which works well for a couple of the other Pokemon we got here. Some new ones. The Paradox Pokemon work really well off of the electric terrain. First one we got is Iron Hands, which is the Paradox Hariyama, fighting electric. Also talking about the Terra types. Just trying to cover for like some weaknesses here. Steel is just a generally good type for covering defenses. But yeah, this is a bulky guy. Drain Punch, Earthquake, Ice Punch, Wild Charge. Assault Vest gives him some decent special defense as well, without having to put too much into it. So this guy can tank like a Earthquake just with his HP stat alone, and then you can get some stuff back with Drain Punch or knock out the ground types with Ice Punch. Just really strong, really bulky, and with the Quirk Drive you get an attack boost, which is huge in the electric terrain. Also, Iron Thorns, going with the Terra type Flying because he is 4 times weak to ground. This is our Air Balloon user. Just because with Magnezone we can protect to scout stuff out. Iron Thorns I want to be more offensive with Dragon Dance, Thunder Punch, Earthquake, and Stone Edge. Also with the Quirk Drive, working off of the electric terrain gives us the attack boost there as well. So it can definitely do a lot after a Dragon Dance. Once you're able to outspeed, it's almost like having a Life Orb and a +1 with that Quirk Drive. Yeah, so this is one that I would definitely have to test, but I like the Air Balloon, and I like the Terra type Flying. Like, even if they break your Air Balloon, like, if you Terra type Flying, when they go for an Earthquake or something, it's going to be pretty bad for them. And lastly, Sandy Shocks, Electric Ground. So, Ground is just a good typing to have, so it's cool to have an Electric Ground type here. You won't get the Pro Synthesis, because I like the Choice Scarf with Earth Power. Terra Blast Grass. That way you can hit other ground types that might not be expecting it. It's good to have like a Grass Terra type too. Just something to resist the ground types. Volt Switch and Stealth Rocks. This is the only rocker I have. It is Choice Scarf, but I think it is good to have some Stealth Rocks. Pincurchin will get the spikes up, but sometimes you need another set of hazards. So if you bring Sandy Shocks in, if they know it's Scarf, they might try to switch out into something. That'll let you get rocks up and then swap out into your next option after that. But yeah, I definitely like a lot of the Paradox Pokemon. The Electric got some good stuff. But going over some of the other Pokemon, a lot of people have been liking Kilowattrel. It's definitely an offensive Pokemon. You need to get up that Tailwind to really start hitting hard. It's definitely no Zapdos, but it can definitely do a lot of damage. And Electric Flying does give you that immunity you need to ground. And that is why I can't produce content as much as I want to. That was my 2-year-old daughter just running and screaming. Anyway, yeah, so Kilowattrel, definitely cool. Like I said, has flying type, so you're immune to the ground attacks. It's strong, especially when you get that Tailwind up that first attack. But Hurricane can miss. So I just don't feel like it gives you as much as, like I said, like it's no Zapdos. Eelektross with the Levitate, again, another ground immunity. I like Terra-type Water on this because you can hit with like Liquidation and stuff against ground types. And it gives you some more coverage there. Jolly Choice Band set, Wild Charge, Close Combat, Liquidation, U-Turn. This is one I could see, but like we already got like Hariyama and, well not Hariyama, but Iron Hands and Iron Thorns, so I didn't want another slow Pokemon. Although Eelektross definitely very good. And then the last one that I want to just talk about is Rotom. I know I mentioned it in the first one, but you can definitely choose a bunch of other different options here if you want to go with Rotom for sure. Just, you know, you can't really run Rotom bulky because it lost out on Pain Split. Unless you make it like specially defensive maybe. Like certain ones like Heat and Wash can maybe specially defensive with leftovers. But moving on to the bug teams here. Got a couple new ones here. Starting off with Low Kicks with that Tinted Lens ability. So removes resistances, which is great. It has good priority with First Impression and Sucker Punch. Pretty solid 102 attack and 92 speed. Yeah, so you bring it in, you can get off a First Impression, you can Sucker Punch. Axe Kick is a good not close combat, high jump kick replacement, and then U-turn for momentum. I don't really like putting Life Orb on a lot of teams, but I didn't want Banned if you're running First Impression. You could run Boots, but you do lose out on some of the power for sure. And Terra-type Dark just to really get those Sucker Punches going for like late game. Next we got the Sticky Web Setter Masquerain. Has some good utility, Intimidate, not a bad lead. Focus Sash of course, because we want to make sure we get off that Sticky Web against any rock attacks or anything. Because Masquerain doesn't have the best bulk, especially on the defensive side. Hydro Pump and Ice Beam, decent coverage, and Tailwind, because maybe you get up the Sticky Web and your attacks aren't going to do much, so you're able to get a Tailwind up. That will help some of your other Pokemon in the back, such as Volcarona, even Scizor if you want to go for something other than Bullet Punch. You might want that increased speed. Slitherwing isn't the fastest either, so getting Tailwind up for this team, not bad, but this is kind of just like your lead and then let it die sort of thing. For hazards and hazard removal, you have Fortress, Body Press, Iron Defense. That Body Press, such a big boost for Fortress. Terra-type Water, again, you're going to be 4 times weak to fire. That's your only weakness, so Water, being able to resist that, very nice. Yeah, if they don't have fire attacks, it's going to be really hard for them to break through Fortress on the physical side. So you'll be able to set up and just start body pressing things. You could put Volt Switch on here somewhere, but I don't really care for it. Like, you have U-turn on so many other Pokemon. You don't really need another Volt Switch option. And you have a couple Pokemon that can do way more damage to water types later on this list. But yeah, I definitely like Fortress. It's the best Rabbit Spin user that the bugs have for sure. And I think Body Press is just such a big upgrade. Can't wait to try and use it on Wi-Fi for sure. I got a pine cone that I need to evolve and do all that stuff. Another steel bug type, Scizor, this time on the offensive spectrum. Just going max HP though, so we can take some hits. I mean, you got Bullet Punch, you got Close Combat, U-Turn, Swords Dance, Technician, Bullet Punch on Adamant. Unless you're resisting it, you're going to take so much damage, so you're able to get off these nice U-turns. Terra-type Water again, kind of same thing for the Fire types. I could definitely see putting like Terra Blast on Scizor over, say, like Close Combat. Because imagine if you are fighting against a Fire team and you just Terra Water and have the Terra Blast. Like, that's going to be really strong against a lot of Fire teams, especially if you take care of any of their grass or electric coverage, which there isn't a lot on Fire teams, not a lot. So I definitely think that this is like the Pokemon that you want to terrestrialize. So yeah, Terra Blast Water could be pretty good. Our setup sweeper here, we got Volcarona with the Quiver Dance, Fire Blast just for the strongest fire attack you get. If you want something a little more reliable, maybe you could go with Fire Dance, but I want to do big damage against those steel types. Don't give them any opportunity to switch out. Giga Drain, so you have the coverage against water, and then Psychic is just a overall good move. Hits poisons, hits fighting. You know what it hits. Hits Toxapex too, so you can actually kill Toxapex, which I don't think anything else on your team would be able to do if you went up against mono poison or mono water. But yeah, Volcarona, just solid Pokemon again. Once you get rid of some stuff, you can start Quiver Dancing. And we got its Paradox cousin here, Slitherwing, with the booster energy, so you'll get an attack raise. Oh, that shouldn't be Fire Blast, that should be Flare Blitz. Sorry about that. But going with the Terra-type Electric so that you have a resistance to flying, and that means you only have one weakness to ground, which the rest of your team should do alright against ground types, since Bug resists all that. Close Combat, Acrobatics, because that will be ×2 with the booster energy used up, and Wild Charge. You could also put like Morning Sun on here if you want a little bit of recovery. I also thought about, like, it has a good special defense, and you don't really have a special defensive Pokemon, so you could also do Assault Vest. If you did Assault Vest, I would get rid of Acrobatics. Maybe go with U-Turn on there, but yeah, put Flare Blitz, not Fire Blast. That's my bad. And some extra Pokemon here. You got Venomoth. Volcarone's just better, so I don't think you need Venomoth for a setup sweeper, but Sleep Powder could be strong. It just doesn't have the coverage that you'd get from Venomoth. And if you wanted to put Sleep, this probably is the best option for that, but yeah. And another Pokemon, just talk about Rabsca. They have encoded in Revival Blessing to Showdown, so this would be more on Wi-Fi battles. But if you want to use Revival Blessing, this is the Pokemon to do it. It's good on Trick Room teams too, so I would think about doing something with that, with some slower bug types. Now moving on to Flying, got your your basic defensive Corviknight here, max special defense, and then Iron Defense Body Press, so kind of like how Magnezone was in the other for the electric team, but you also have removal with Defog and then Roost. And you're able to outlast your opponents because your pressure is only giving them 4 turns of recovery versus your 8. So if you get into a kind of defensive war there, you'll win out. I mean, not much to say about Corviknight, just really good. Gyarados for flying types. Only has the couple of weaknesses there, of course. Terra-type Ground to shut up any of the electric Pokemon or moves trying to come at you. Waterfall, Earthquake, Ice Fang, Dragon Dance Moxie with the boots, so you can come in, not have too much damage. You could also go Lumberry. Lumberry is pretty common as well, but I think all these moves just give you such huge coverage. And I forgot to put stats on here, but you want to be max attack, max speed, and then I like Jolly, because your 81 speed isn't the best, so anything you can do will be good. So Kilowattrel, we talked about him in terms of electric, but I think he's definitely good on the flying team, because there aren't any other electric flying Pokemon other than Rotom Fan, which this guy's way better than Rotom Fan. Modest, you get that Tailwind up, lets you go for a really strong Thunderbolt or Hurricane, or you could just Volt Switch out and have that extra power. Life Orb is nice, and your team's gonna be so fast with this Tailwind up. You know, it really helps Pokemon like Dragonite. With the multi-scale, you have the boots. You can get off your Dragon Dances. Roost to stay relatively healthy, of course. Extreme Speed with the Terra type normal hits like a truck after a Dragon Dance or two. And Earthquake just to cover against Steel and Ghost types. You know, if you get walled by a Mismagius, then I don't know what else to tell you. You could also go Adamant, just for even more damage. But terrestrializing into extreme speed after a couple Dragon Dances is going to do really big damage. Hawlucha with the Power Herb on Burden, going with the Sky Attack. You don't have any terrain setters with the flying type. So if you want to use Hawlucha with the Unburdened, this is one of the better sets. You could also do Close Combat and White Herb, but this is a little more guaranteed. You don't have to worry about like Ghost types missing a Sky Attack or anything. Then you got Acrobatics, Swords Dance. You could definitely put like some Elemental Punches there instead of something like Close Combat if you want, but I like having just something strong to hit Steel types especially. And last one, I wanted to try Bombardier. Heavy duty boots, like you got a lot of boots on this team, but Foul Play, Knock Off, Stone Edge with that Rocky Payload, Stealth Rocks, you know, let basically the rocker on the team. I think if you invest in bulk, it should do pretty well. Flying Dark is a pretty good typing. You got immunities to both ground and psychic. Not that I expect psychic to be very prominent in the monotype meta right now, but ground definitely will be. Which, of course, your whole team is immune to that, but still nice to have knockoff and foul play support as well. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Have you tried Bombardier out? I don't even think I've caught this yet in my game. I'll have to do that. And just a couple extra Pokemon to talk about. Iron Jugulus, which is the Paradox Hydreigon. Just has really good coverage all around. Very solid special attack and speed stats. So if you just want like a Swiss Army knife offensive Pokemon, can't go wrong with the Jug. And lastly, Staraptor, Choice Band Reckless. Like, you can do some things. It's got a nice 100 speed stat. Double Edge and Braybird are going to do a bunch of damage. So, that's just some stuff to think about. Something I did forget, though, which I'm going to bring up right now, actually. Because I just realized post-recording all that other stuff. If you couldn't tell, I'm trying to, I don't know, do what I can when I have the time, right? Forgot about Palmont on the electric team. So right now, again, on Showdown, you don't have Revival Blessing. So it isn't the best, but you can definitely do some very cool stuff here. So with Palmont, you can do something like maybe Life Orb here. On the electric team, you get Ice Punch, you get Fire Punch, you get Mach Punch, and then you get your revival blessing. But again, if you don't want to use, go Jolly. If you're on Showdown and they don't have revival blessing yet or something, you could either do Stab, Thunder Punch. You could do Close Combat. You could do Crunch just to hit ghost types. Volt Switch isn't bad either. So you have options, right? You could even, if you don't like the Life Orb recoil, you can use the new Punching Glove, which basically between this and that is about a Life Orb boost, and you won't get like Volcarona burned from their flame body. Can't think of any. Some people might use Rocky Helmet against like normal type Pokemon, or you know, I could see like a Rocky Helmet Dondozo to counter like Palafin or something. Like there could be some Rocky Helmets going around, so Punching Glove could be a thing as well. But yeah, I forgot to put him on the list, but let me know what you think. Let me know if you've been trying out any Monotype, and as always, stay classy, society.